Thank you for jumping in. My name is Jenna Schrenard, Head of Marketing at PCA Technology Group, and I'll be your host for this webinar. Before I hand it over to your speaker today, Brian Powell, Chief Technology Officer at PCA, we want to thank you for joining us for today's topic, which is what you need to know about artificial intelligence. And please note this webinar will be recorded, and you can keep a lookout for a follow-up email with a recording and some additional resources for your reference. And as we go through the next 30 minutes or so, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to drop them in the chat, and we'll make sure to get those answered for you before we conclude today. And we also have a couple of poll questions today too, so stay tuned for those. But with all that being said, I'd now like to hand it over to Brian.
Thank you, Jenna. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is actually going to be a two-part series. So the first part here is kind of an intro into AI, and then the next month's version of this, which we'll talk about at the end here, will be about some security issues and how to address maybe security in AI. So as Jenna mentioned, I'm Brian. I am the CTO here at PCA. Internally here, we've been dabbling with AI for a while. I do not claim to be an AI expert, but I do leverage it for various things, and I've used a couple of different versions of AI. I've used Bard, I've used Copilot, and I've also used ChatGPT. So, and there's actually some underground ones too that are not publicly available that I've also leveraged as well. We also have an internal private one that we have dabbled with internally here, that we have trained on some data that we wanted it to do. So I do have some experience with it. Like I said, obviously we're all learning this as we go. But what I'm going to do today is just share the knowledge that I have, and as things progress in the AI genre, the input and information will obviously grow with that. So quick agenda here, overview of AI. What is it? Why should you care? I'll kind of briefly cover some of the types of AI. I mean, AI has been around for a very, very long time. It has just now become more publicized. It's also, unfortunately, a buzzword as well. Anytime something new comes out, marketing and anybody that can leverage, new buzzwords, everything's going to be AI, even if it isn't AI. So if you are trying to leverage products that have built-in AI, you definitely want to make sure of first find out what their definition of AI actually is. Because a lot of people use AI and automation with interchangeably. So that is one thing you definitely need to be wary of, from a product standpoint, and just make sure, you're doing a little bit of homework. What exactly is the AI that you're claiming that is in your product, and then find out what is back-ending that. Could be Watson from IBM or something like that. That was the one that's been around for a very, very long time, and is very, mature. So, and then we'll talk a little bit about the different AI models, and then we'll look at AI in the real world, the workplace adoption, and then obviously some of the perceptions that go along with that. So as Jenna mentioned, we're going to try something new this time. Hopefully it works. And we are going to start with a poll question here. So, just polling the attendees here, are you currently using AI, yes or no? And if you would just submit your answer there, and we will get some information tabulated.
Awesome. Looks like 67% said no.
Okay. And yeah, so what about yeah, so that's that doesn't shock me. It's one of those things that it is new, and the fact that it's been publicly available now, the adoption rate isn't, a lot of people are scared, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, and what the pluses and minuses are of that. So that's great. That actually worked pretty well. So all right, so the next slide here. So let's talk a little bit about what is AI. So the definition that I'm going to give you is it's basically a process of building intelligent machines from a lot of data sources. And these systems are designed to learn from past experiences, to learn from input, So it has the capability to perform human-like tasks. So it does definitely increase productivity and effectiveness of human efforts. Now, we'll talk a little bit about this in perception. Is AI going to replace humans? No. Could it potentially make humans more efficient? Absolutely. So, in certain cases, depending, let me just give you an example where I shouldn't say no on the replacement, but it depends on what you're leveraging AI for. So, if you're a researcher, someone that does a lot of research, manual research, and whether you're researching references or whatever, if that's your job, AI could potentially replace you. However, you have to have somebody asking the right questions to get the data out of AI. So it's performing the same task that a manual process would do, but it's probably much more efficient. So I don't know if it would necessarily replace. Again, it's not going to replace humans entirely. It might replace certain individuals in certain fields, very, very specific fields, because now you could have somebody that may not be an expert in that field automate that task or get AI to generate some of that stuff back. So again, the one thing that you need to realize is it's really just leveraging the power of machines and using data, vast volumes of data, and in most cases, the public versions of AI are really everything that the search engines feed it. So everything that's in the big search engines are obviously giving it that data. And on the public versions, anything you're asking it, it could also regurgitate back out. So you definitely need to be aware of that. We'll touch base more on that when it comes to the security side of things. But the next slide here just shows, why should you care about AI? And even though the poll didn't reflect this, you can see here just over the various different companies and platforms here. So you got Netflix, you got Kickstarter, Airbnb, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Hulu. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but this is basically these are the time frames that it took to reach 1 million users on each of these different platforms. So, Netflix, you can imagine how big that was to reach 1 million. It took 3.5 years to get to 1 million. So now if you go over, obviously that could be as well too. Some of these platforms were available, and it depends on when they were out there. But the other thing too, as you come across here, Facebook obviously took 10 months to reach 1 million users. Instagram took 2.5 months to reach, and then you look at ChatGPT, and again, this is just very specific. The source is coming from Yahoo here, that it took 5 days to reach 1 million users once ChatGPT became publicly available. So the adoption rate, or at least the interest in it from the public side, is definitely high. So the other thing too to keep on here is to realize that as time goes on, companies are definitely looking at leveraging AI. Excuse me. So you can see here that the global spending on AI is set to exceed $301 billion by 2026. I mean, that's only 2 years away technically. And you can see here that the amount of growth here is just incredible. So it's just something that you have to definitely make sure that you're aware of. And in some cases it might be right for you. In other cases it might not be. But you just definitely need to be aware of what the projections are that are going out there. So the other thing too is that AI is being leveraged or used in almost every sector of business. So you can see here we have instances of transportation, healthcare, banking, retail, entertainment, e-commerce. Again, it's just showing you that AI can potentially be leveraged in all types of different sectors of business. So obviously now you kind of know what AI is. Let's take a look at what are the different types of artificial intelligence that are out there. So AI really started with way back in the day, and so you have a couple different versions of AI, and these could be presented in a couple of different ways, but this is how I'm going to present it. So something called weak AI. Weak AI is basically extremely narrowly focused on very limited things or predefined set of data points. So think of this as potentially internet searches or something that is leveraging facial recognition, your automated cars that are driving, your parking, the automation that is actually parking your car if you have self-park cars. Playing a game like chess, that's something that is considered weak AI because it has very set limited tasks that it's designed to do, and it's not as widely focused as some of the other versions of it. So that's what the definition of weak AI is. So strong AI is obviously a much broader focus. It has human-like cognitive capabilities. Now keep in mind when I say human-like capabilities, it doesn't mean it's sentient yet. Which means that it thinks for itself. Sentient is basically thinking for itself and can act upon it. Now you can have it leverage some automation with some learning techniques, but it's not going to. It doesn't have necessarily feelings and things like that. But also keep very much in mind. Again, we'll cover this in security side. AI can be extremely biased. And it's really because of the data that is being fed into it is going to be how good the information is coming out of it. So if you can inject whoever's training this, and it could be done again, like the public ones, you can actually feed in a lot of biased information that will eventually get regurgitated back out because it learns from everything that it's being fed. So it will, if you have enough people feeding biased information into AI, it will actually spit and regurgitate that information back out as fact. And when you're leveraging AI, you definitely need to do your checks and balances, and make sure that you're not just relying on the information coming out of AI to be the true version of what you're looking for. And strong AI can also tackle unfamiliar tasks autonomously without human guidance. That does not exist yet. So again, this is really the sentient version where it's potentially has the capabilities of acting emotionally, even though it's not human, it potentially has the ability to act emotionally on its own without any type of intervention. And this is actually the sentient part of this is really what a lot of people fear with AI. And honestly, it's almost like the Terminator thing or something like that. Or even Matrix kind of touched on this too. It's one of those things where the machines take over the world, or take over, and the humans become the slaves and stuff like that. I just don't see that ever occurring. I mean, there's so many ways to combat that, and you will have specialized robotic entities that may have some weak AI specific tasks, but to be able to add human feelings into that, I just don't see that happening. That's my personal opinion. Again, it could happen, but I'm not tinfoil hatty where I'm going to think that AI is taking over the world. I'll just create an EMP pulse and it will blow the AI apart because the machines will get damaged by the EMP, and you've pretty much solved your own problem there. And then you got super intelligent AI that surpasses human intelligence. So again, this is obviously speculative. Even if Hollywood portrays it, again, this kind of goes back to the Terminator thing, where this is truly where the intelligence of AI is beyond human capabilities, and it can manipulate humans. It can do all that type of thing. There are many videos out there that kind of show this. iRobot was another one that kind of touched on this a little bit, where the some of those robots ended up taking being harmful to humans when they weren't supposed to be. And then RoboCop was another one that was, just there's a whole bunch of different Hollywood things out there that kind of portray some of this stuff. But realistically, we'll talk a little bit more about how to leverage AI and what the good things of it instead of all the potential negatives behind it. So AI, machine learning, and deep learning. So what are the differences there? So you can see here that artificial intelligence actually covers and encompasses, based on the graph here, basically encompasses machine learning and deep learning. So it kind of really does all that. So in the early days, artificial intelligence, again, we're just using and leveraging machines to imitate potentially intelligent human behavior. It could be, early chatbots, where you were actually talking with an automated thing, and they're all over the place now. Almost every website you go to has a chatbot that you're interacting with. Some of that is simply automation that's scraping their knowledge base in the back end to try to pre-screen some of these things to see if you can self-help yourself. Some of it is AI driven, where it's not only just scraping that information, but it's also leveraging a lot more information that might be available on the internet. Really depends on the platform, but chatbots is a good early example of that. And then decision trees, it's kind of one of those things where, okay, what if this? Okay, if this, then that. And, sometimes you get these on maybe utilities. If you're reporting a utility outage or an internet outage with your cable company or your FiOS provider, whatever, sometimes you'll go through decision trees. Report the incident. Okay, did you try this? Okay, yes, no. Okay, great. Now, how about this? Okay, is it widespread? Is it just you? Did you check with your neighbors? Those are kind of decision trees at a very basic level. But that's kind of what that looks like. Machine learning is obviously application of AI that allows the system to automatically learn and improve from its experience. So a lot of times in the real world, looking at things like spam detection, some of the spam filtering out there will learn from previous emails. And it basically learns from that and then will classify emails that either look similar to that or have similar content, and then tag those as spam, so you don't have to keep manually going through and doing that. Credit scoring is another one too. It leverages automation and experience that this is how your payment history versus your amount of debt to income versus, are you paying your bills on time? It does all kinds of different things. That could definitely be used from a machine learning standpoint. Weather prediction as well. They look at different weather models. This is heavily used with a lot of the early storm warnings and things. They look at the models, and if they see certain hooks in the cloud spins, there's potentials for tornadoes and things like that. They also leverage it for large storms coming in off the oceans, for hurricanes, where they're projecting potentially the paths based on the wind direction and the storm and how it's kind of tracking. It's not 100% perfect, but again, it's leveraging past experiences, what it looks for. Those hooks in the cloud are definitely early warning systems, especially for tornadoes. And if you've ever, obviously, I'm sure you've seen on news sites and stuff the devastation of those tornadoes, and it's just they drop so quick. And the faster you can warn people that are susceptible in those areas, the more lives you can save and the less, human life you lose in those potentials, because they can get into safety shelters prior to that thing actually just pulling down. So, and then fraud detection too. Banks leverage this, financial institutions leverage this, and it's basically leveraging things like certain transactions or a certain amount of dollars or series of transactions, specific banks and patterns that are being leveraged to maybe try to launder money or something or hide money. There's a whole bunch of different things that machine learning could potentially help with that. And then you have the deep learning there. That's the application that uses complex algorithms and things like deep neural nets to train a model. So again, that encompasses things like ChatGPT. So there's a lot of data points that go into that. So some of the self-driving cars now are very, very intelligent. They not only have they can pass, they can take your exits, they can literally drive you home. And it's pretty scary if you think about it. I'm obviously I don't have a vehicle that does any of that, and it's somewhat intentional just because I would sooner be in control of my own vehicle. Though there are some features, like maybe a distance or something from the car in front of you where it would self-brake. Those type of safety features are obviously very good because I'm sure the deep learning AI would be able to react much, much faster than the brain can, but you're also using sensors and stuff too that you're relying upon that hopefully they're accurate and working function. And then you can also detect anomalies. So this could be things of if you're in a secure environment and you're using deep learning AI on maybe your firewall or something, it might be able to detect something either, hey, there's strange traffic going out here that we've never seen before, or there's strange traffic trying to get in that we've never seen before. It may be able to block that or filter that or cut those type of things off that could potentially save you from a ransomware event or data exfiltration that they try to, post your data on the dark web and then try to hold you hostage and try to blackmail you by sending them money. And then drug discovery too. A lot of this is done. It could be leveraged from cancer institutes or disease controls and things like that. AI can be leveraged to do a whole bunch of testing models and where before it's one of those things where they may have leveraged computers, but some of it was also manual processes. But that's kind of just some of the examples and how they fall in the AI realm. So workplace adoption, obviously there is no standard approach for really allowing employee access to AI. So you can see here by the statistics that some places have blocked employees from accessing all AI tools, so 12% there. And then there's blocked employees. That is that the same way? We have blocked employee access to all generative tools to some. Okay, some. I missed the some part. So the next one here is 32%. They block some generative AI tools. So they leverage some, but they've also blocked some. And then the next one here is they're allowing, 29% is allowing. And then we have no internal discussions on the topic yet. And then they don't know. So you can see out of this graph here, more than 50% actually are allowing some or allowing all when it comes to AI. The numbers show right there that the workplace adoption is coming, and it's something that you definitely need to think about on where you're going to fall in this graph, and figure that out. So how are they regulating the use of AI? The ones that do it. So some have formal policies there that show that are in place. That's 27%. Some of them have how to securely and deploy AI technology. So this could be either internally where you're using private versions or externally using private versions. There's two different versions, public and private. Public is basically anything that's fed into it could potentially regurgitate out. Private versions are supposedly set up that any information you give it is kept inside of your instance and never shared to the outside world. You take that with a grain of salt. I will put my tinfoil hat on for that one. I'm not sure I buy that, but we'll talk more about that when it comes to the security side of things and how to leverage AI if you are going to do that in the next session. And then you have 39% here that are discussing, they're currently discussing the formal policy, and then on the safe and ethical use of that, and then also how to secure it and deploy it. You can see there's very, very large percentages here after the people that do have policies. So you can see it's definitely higher that don't either have any policies or in the discussions of it. So I would definitely consider doing policies first before allowing access to it, and just because there are some safeguards and things that you need to keep in mind. So the perception of AI use, who should regulate and the safe and ethical use of of AI. So this again goes back to somebody should be regulating this, because it right now it's kind of the wild, wild west. So 63% think that should be some kind of global coordination between governments. 61% thinks there should be a consortium of AI experts, and then 54% think national governments should be doing it. 28% think the private sector, and then there's 3% that think it shouldn't be regulated at all. So you can see a high percentage. Most people think that there should be some kind of regulation. Now, who does it? That's the other thing you got to be careful of, because again, could be biased information, but that's kind of where we're at. So we're time for another poll question here. Do you think AI will have a significant, either positive or negative, impact on your job in the potential future? Take a few moments here to answer those, and we got 50-50. So it's potential. So that's where it's at. So yeah, it's hard to tell, but it's one of those things where we're not real sure. So let's move on to the actual perception of AI. So perception of AI, 88% of the respondents here, and this came from ISC Squared, from their artificial intelligence survey that came out last year. 88% believe that AI will significantly impact their jobs now or in the near future. So the 35% answering it already has. And again, this will significantly impact your job, whether positively or negatively. It doesn't really specify here, but it significantly impact it. 5% think in 3 to 6 months, 9% think in 7 to 12 months. Large percentage here thinking 23% think in 1 to 2 years, because of how the maturity level will probably go. In more than 2 years is 16%, and then you got 12% here that don't think it's going to have any impact on your job. So key takeaways here as we wrap this up. AI is going to impact orgs in one way, shape, or form, whether positive or negative, sometime either now or in the very near future. AI is going to impact every single organization. There is still so much to learn about AI. And the takeaway is obviously that right now there's really no standards on how orgs are approaching internal AI governance. And there's many organizations that are working on trying to create some standardizations that organizations can follow. So again, the guidelines really are, you should be taking this seriously. There are many security risks, which we'll talk about next time around. But don't be afraid of AI. Kick the tires on it. And if you are putting any information into it, just make sure, if it's business information, that you're redacting any potential privacy issues before you actually feed that into AI, or let AI try to help you with whatever it is you're trying to do here. So with that, I will finish this up. Again, our next session that is going to cover the cybersecurity points of AI will be on May 21st. And that'll be again at 1 p.m. So I thank you for your time. I don't think, Jenna, is there any questions? I didn't see anything come through, but I may have missed it.
No, it doesn't look like it. So thanks, Brian.
Okay.
I just dropped the registration page right there. If anyone does have questions later on, if you guys want to have, one-on-one conversation with PCA, feel free to reach out to us directly, and definitely stay tuned for later today. We're going to send along this recording and some additional resources. So thanks again.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And hopefully we'll see you in the next presentation. So have a great day and talk to you then.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.